Like when you talk about like SE versus NE, SE is super adaptable, like in the moment and stuff like that. But like NE is like it's very similar, but it's like mentally flexible. So I want to talk about today. Okay, make sure it was on. I want to talk about intuitive types, and more specifically, I want to talk about NE users. So I've been looking into NE users lately and thinking about them, and like forming new opinions about them. I'm going to tell you what I've discovered about NE users and formulated. Um, so NE users, I like to call them time travelers. Um, it's a good way to describe extroverted intuition because extroverted intuition, it pretty much like it's kind of in the moment, and then it's kind of jumping in between, like making connections between stuff they see in the moment and maybe the past sometimes, and then maybe hypothesize about the future a little bit too. And that's when they get into like the possibilities and things like that and the pattern recognition. Now, I say mainly like one of the main differences between like NE and then like NI is NE. Um, it's like all over the place, jumping between many different ideas. It like has endless ideas, endless brainstorming capabilities. NI users are more like um, focusing on one idea at a time type of thing. I know it's not like all of what NI and NE is. I'm just trying to simplify it for maybe beginners and things like that. Um, but NE users, I like to call them time travelers. Um, also, NE users are like the most open-minded people and also the most mentally flexible as far as um, like when you talk about like SE versus NE, SE is super adaptable, like in the moment and stuff like that. But like NE is very similar, but it's like mentally flexible, and also like more like mentally elusive. You know what I'm saying? In a way. Um, by that I mean like that mental elusiveness can come out like when let's say in like serious moments, and any user might crack a joke or something like that. Um, and it gives off this elusive sort of thing because it's like, okay, be serious, but it's like, no, I don't want to be. I'm not saying they thinking like I don't want to be serious, but they're like elusive. You know, it's like they're not gonna be serious. They're gonna say a joke, type of thing. Um, but it's very interesting as well. This can like kind of piss off ESTJs and like types. Some SJ types can get pissed off by this, especially ESTJs. They can get kind of annoyed by like any users and when they joke at the wrong time. Me, on the other hand, it doesn't bother me as an ISTP. I'm a laid back dude. I get along with everybody. Um, so something like that, I actually find it funny too. I find it funny how they can joke in the wrong times and be good. In the most tense situation, any user will crack a joke. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is not necessarily defining any all the way. It's just more like my opinions on any based on my observations. But it can give you some bits and pieces on defining it and things like that, and understanding more of what it is. Now, the flip side of any users is, and if you guys don't know, if anybody's watching it that doesn't know this, all any users are INFP, INTP, ENTP, ENFP. Those are the four NE users because they have it either as a first function or the second function. But anyways, another flip side of having high NE on your function stack where you prioritize it is flip side of that is you're gonna have low SI. So it's gonna be your tertiary or your inferior function. So with the INTP and the INFP, they're gonna have it as tertiary. So like it's not like they can't use it, but there's times where they can shut it off at will, and it's kind of like a chore to use it in a way. But they can use it when they want to, kind of thing. They feel like they got some control over using it. They feel like I got a little bit of confidence in it, but not quite as much as they top two. But so they can neglect it quite a lot. They can shut it off and not use it at all and stuff like that. Now you got the ENTP and the ENFP. They got it as a last function, so that's like unfamiliar territory. They rebel against it. They can use it, but when they do use it, it's a little out of control because they don't know what they're doing. That's kind of how it is with everybody's last function. They don't really know. It's unfamiliar territory, so it can be a little out of control when they do use it. But yeah. Now, when you got low SI, it can make you neglect taking care of yourself and taking care of your bodily needs and things like that. Now, it can manifest altogether. It can manifest as bad hygiene and stuff like that. Also, just being forgetting to take care of yourself and go to the doctor when you need to, when you having health problems, and sometimes they let their health decay and stuff like that due to low SI because it's kind of like a chore to them. Also, like sometimes they might not want to exercise and things like that. If they need to exercise for their health and stuff like that, they might put it off for a long time. But the thing is, with all any users, it's not that they won't do some of these things. It's that like they kind of put it off, and they need to be warmed up to the idea of it. That's what it's more like, especially when you're talking about the ENFP and the ENTP. Now, most specifically, I say the aspects that each struggle with most, like NTPs, ENTP and INTP, they struggle more with the hygiene aspect. But I think INTP struggle with it more. The reason for this is because they have lower SI, but they also have low FE. I think there's something involved in the feeling functions, both FI and FE, that can make the person, that can make um, these types, any users, like it can make them want to take care of their appearance a little bit, even though any isn't really equipped to take care of his appearance like that. But um, when it has low feeling and low SI, it will make them not want to. It'll make them have hygiene and stuff problems more. So and along with taking care of themselves when they need to. Now when they get older, they do tend to have good hygiene habits. But INTPs are more notorious for not having good hygiene. I ain't gonna lie to you. But like all things, they can definitely learn this stuff as they get older. It's very easy for them to learn as they get older to have better hygiene. Of course, you'll see cracks here and there of it being clues that it's not natural to them to focus on, but of course, they can definitely learn daily hygiene and stuff. Just like any human being, but it is a struggle for them. More so, it's a struggle for like health. But like I say, for the NFPs, since they have a feeling function higher on their stack, it can make them want to be more. Something about the feeling function, it can actually help a person want to be more hygienic, and they can care about their appearance a little bit with feeling functions. Not a ton. I say caring about your appearance and how you keeping up with yourself is more of a SE thing, but feeling functions, both FI and FE, can add a little motivation to that because you're thinking about I think it might be because you're thinking about how you feel about how you look and how you present yourself, especially FE, because FE is thinking about how they're making other people, how the things they do impact people. FI can kind of think like how they impact people, but not too much. It's more like on a very small scale, but it's more about how they feel about it in a way. You know what I'm saying? But something about the feeling function. Feeling functions can make you want to be a little more keeping up with your appearance. It can add a little bit of motivation to that. So NFPs, they struggle more with keeping up with their health, more so than the hygiene thing. Or, you know, sometimes they can let their health decay without realizing it. But really, all of them struggle with all these things. But I think it leaning more when you want to talk about which leans more towards the other. NFPs can let their health decay, and sometimes they need to really be warmed up to the idea of exercising. Like I've dated a bunch of ENFPs. Um, I tend to get along with ENFPs pretty well. I know they got these theories and stuff saying that ISTPs and ENFPs don't get along, but they're not really that accurate. Um, Now, there's like two types of ISTPs. There are some ISTPs who don't really get along with ENFPs, though. But there's a ton of ISTPs who will probably get along with ENFPs the best. Um, the problem with this is people try to use functions too much to try to predict who's gonna get along with who. When really it doesn't matter. Any two types who are healthy can get along with each other and have a healthy relationship. Also, on top of that, you can't really predict who's gonna get along based on just the functions. Now you can a little bit, but it's like you never really know until you actually observe, because it's different than what you would expect. You like it's not all about having the same functions as this person. Oh, we're gonna get along because we got the same functions. There's other aspects that play into it, because the combinations of functions can create different type of effects that you probably wouldn't even be able to predict just based on like your understanding of function, unless you saw it and saw how these types actually are in real life. So, like I made a video about this a long time ago, but ENFPs and INTPs get along because they're so different from each other that they will always that they'll never get bored with each other because they're so different. It's always something new, basically. And also on top of that, ENFPs and ISTPs can have the same opinions on things, even though they have different function stacks. They can have the same opinions. They just go about it in a completely different way from each other to get to their conclusion where they would have the same opinion. But they can have the same opinions. There's plenty of couples where ISTP and ENFPs have been together for a long time. There's plenty of couples where it works very well. Anyways, I can make a whole nother video about that. About really compatibility theories are not that accurate. Like function-based compatibility theories are really not that accurate. But functions in general, the best thing ever, right? But when you talk about compatibility using the functions and only the functions and no like observations or anything like that about who's with who, then it can be, it's not, I don't think it's really meant for that anyway. People do it all the time. They try to predict. But anyways, whole nother topic. We stay on topic. But anyways, yeah. Um, I don't even remember where I was going with that, but I think I was trying to get to a point that was involved in the video, but I forgot. But anyways, I think I made my points pretty solid. Uh, yeah, I like to call any users the time travelers. Also because I think if time traveling was a job, any user would be best at um, understanding the concept of time traveling and being able, like on some shows they do time traveling, but just like kind of like skill to it because you don't want to time travel and mess up the timeline. I think any user would be the best at theorizing and hypothesizing um, on how to not mess up the timeline. I think any user would be the best at it. That's why, like, even when you think, I can't think of the name of that scientist on, uh, damn, my brain not working right now. Back to the Future. That scientist on Back to the Future. ENTP. Any dime. ENTPs are kind of like my mad scientists. When you think about the stereotypical mad scientist, ENTP fits it perfectly. Um, but that's what kind of like NE is too. It's kind of like a mad scientist bouncing their ideas. It's like they kind of look a little crazy. Like I wouldn't say they look crazy, but like they can go in like with all the ideas that come to them, like constantly. They got a constant flow of ideas, so it's like very interesting to watch. And it looks like a mad science. That's what NE looks like. And I feel like the perfect embodiment of that is ENTP, most specifically. But that's kind of what NE does. It brainstorms and it has a constant flow of ideas. Excuse this cat. He just, you know, feel like playing right now. But I think I made all my points I wanted to make. Um, made these videos in the same day. I decided to put a shirt on, maybe to spice it up. But I could have just kept my tank top on. But who cares, man? Anyways, thanks for watching.